And Christy is smoking cigarettes. She's drinking, and she's drinking hard stuff too, right?
Yes.
And she's hitting her mom. How long has she been acting this way?
About 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months. Before that, was she mom's little girl, and was she a good kid?
Yes.
What made the change? Do you know what caused the change?
Not really.
You don't.
No.
Christy is totally wild?
Yes.
And you cannot make her go to school. She's 9. You can't make her go to school at 9?
She misses the bus. I take her. She refuses to get out of the car. She hits me when I get her there. So I end up just having to take her back home and spend the day at home with her.
So you can't work or anything. You have to sit there and babysit with her because she's 9, and I agree shouldn't be left alone.
Right.
And she beats up her 5-year-old sister.
She chokes her. Then I had her... The night I had went and admitted her to a behavioral health system when she had choked her 5-year-old sister. She beats on her all the time.
Sneaks out of the house at night to smoke.
She's
tells very big lies, right?
Big.
Now, let me tell you, when she came here today, she was in our producer's, senior producer, co-exec producer's office, and she asked for cigarettes over and over again, and I kept coming in and saying she needed a cigarette, and she's 9, and when they got her one, she said it wasn't her brand, you know. Well,
what's her brand?
I mean, I don't know what her brand was, but we could see what you were talking about, all right? She's violent, is that right?
Very violent. She fights with all the kids in her neighborhood, at school, like her sister and me mainly.
And she kicks you?
Hits me, kicks me.
Now, Mother was operated on for cervicular cancer, and she knows where the operation is, so that's where she wants to hit you.
At one point, she told me she wished I would die from it.
From being kicked?
From being sick.
What do you do to punish her when she acts like this? From the very beginning, what did you do?
I took her TV from her, her VCR. I just took certain things from her. That didn't work. I tried timeout. That didn't work.
All right, let's bring Christy out, and everybody just kind of, you know, make it comfortable for her. Come on out, Christy. Christy, you are 9 years old, and your mother says that you are smoking, and everybody on our producer staff said you were smoking. Why do you do that?
Because, I just do.
Why? You brought your sister here because obviously you're not well. Can I ask what is wrong?
I had a lung disease, and the medication they gave me destroyed the bones in my body.
The medication they gave you destroyed the bones in your body? Okay. Jessica, the daughter, is drinking, is she? Doing drugs, has had sex with over 20 men, and Annie says that she has been severely beaten by her own daughter. Annie, you say your daughter's been very violent with you. Tell me what happened.
She'll get mad, or I'll be walking. I can walk somewhat, but holding on to things. And she'll walk down the same hallway, and she'll bump me and knock me on the ground. And she'll look and she'll go, "Oh, well." And I'll ask her, "Help me." She goes, "Get your fat ass up."
Is this true?
Yeah, it is true. I've witnessed it. I've been there.
What do you do when you witness this happening to your sister?
Well, I pick her up off the ground.
Sure.
I try to, you know, help her emotionally and tell her to hang on.
Okay.
I mean, you know, it's a scary thing. It really is.
What is wrong with Jessica, in your opinion?
Jessica is just, she wants to be 25 and just be the big girl and have everything her way and do what she wants to do.
A lot of kids want to be older than they are, and I don't understand why. I'd like to be younger than I am, but she was found in a, let me go over a list of this. She was found in a crack alley, is that
That's correct.
correct?
That's correct.
Was she doing crack?
She says no.
Okay, but with a bad crowd?
Right. She
Okay.
was transporting running, bringing the drugs.
She's what they call a runner.
And she gets the
went
money.
in the crack neighborhood to pick up $100 to make $100.
Skips school, runs away, hangs out with the wrong crowd, lies about where she is and who she's with, smokes and drinks, having sex with older men. Is that for the money? For the crack?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
In public says she wishes her mother would die. Violent with her mother and younger brother. Has beaten up her mother severely, knocked her mother down 3 to 4 times. Steals from stores.
I would imagine. I don't know. She's got like the clothes she's got on. I didn't purchase that. Some of the jewelry. I didn't purchase that. I asked her where she gets it. She goes, a friend. I got the right to know this.
Her friend was found a month ago.
About that.
Tell me.
She had ran away, which Jessica's done.
Named Michelle, who has a criminal record. A very long criminal record at 16. Grand theft, petty theft, forgery, and attempted murder. Michelle has been kicked out of 4 schools in 1 year, the past year. Sharon, these are some unbelievable charges. Can you tell me about grand theft was for what?
Well, that was probably something more minor. They took a bunch of clothes from a friend's house. The brother allowed them to, which he got charged too. It was
With grand theft?
There's like 5 of them.
Okay. Forgery?
My mother's been ill, and she was writing checks for my mother because my mother wasn't capable. And I found out on a Saturday morning, we got a call from the bank that her and her friends were picked up at the bank for cashing checks.
Cashing checks. She forged checks.
She had written them, and the boy cashed them.
Okay. Attempted murder?
That stemmed from the grand theft because the girl that had told on them for taking the clothes was a neighbor, and somebody, after she threatened her, left a message on her answering machine, that night somebody tried to run the girl over.
Was it your daughter?
No.
But why was she charged with attempted murder?
Because she had called and left them a threatening message on her answering machine.
Well, that's illegal, right?
Yeah.
So she
And
does
as soon
have
as she did it, I told her that was the worst mistake.
Those charges are very serious. They will remain on her record, and those are just the beginning of her wild ways. What else does she do?
I've been called at 5:30 in the morning to drive to Tampa. It's about a half hour from our house to pick her up at a rave because it was raided. And I had to pick up her and somebody else and bring them home. And I've gotten calls. She kept running away. She'd be home one night, gone for 3 nights. I don't know how many times I've gone to the police department, picked her up for that.
Shoplifting, too. Mm-hmm. Smokes, drinks, probably drugs and sex, skips schools all the time, and kicked out of 4 schools. Curses at family, calls mothers names, runs away constantly, gone for days at a time. Why? Likes to party all the time. Steals stuff from her house. Her mother has to lock her own bedroom door. Now, is this a good family? I'm going to ask you again.
Well, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I work. My husband works. She has a younger sister, too.
She grew up with rules. They have tried to ground her. She has gone to counseling. Everything has been tried to get Michelle to straighten up. None of it has worked?
No. If we ground her, she just goes out. If it's not out through one of the doors, she's out the window.
If you, when she was younger, hit her, Michelle will call the police for child
Oh, yeah,
abuse.
if you
Same
just
thing.
want to.
Thinks it's a joke. What's the problem? You don't want her to go to jail and be ruined forever.
Right, because she's a young girl, and I don't think she's bad looking, and I'm afraid what will happen to her if she gets stuck into a jail with some of these women that have been in there.
Starting at the age of 12, you were there, right? Just like the girls. What were you doing?
Well, I was just like them. I was skipping school. I ran away 14 different times. I stole my mother's boss's car and went for a joyride. I told my mom I hated her. I told her I couldn't stand her. I've raised my hand to my mother. I was doing drugs.
Drinking,
smoking, the whole 9 yards.
Sex with 27-year-olds, fighting, bullying others. Why did you want to hit other people? I can't understand that.
Well, I wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to be liked by people. And I thought by being mean and rough that people would like me, you know, to look up to me, respect me.
Say that to the young lady sitting next to you, because that's what she seems to think. So your life turned around one day. What happened one day?
Well, I was, well, when I was 16 years old, you know, I had a lump in my throat, but I ignored it. My friends were more important. I was hanging out with them. And finally, when I was about 17 years old, I started coughing up blood and went to the hospital, and they diagnosed me with thyroid cancer. And I was put in the hospital for a month straight, and all those friends and all those people that were there for me, that said they were my friends, when I got put in the hospital, none of them were there for me. You want to know who was there for me? My mother.
He is the chief, we didn't go to any of the Indians, is the chief of child and adolescent psychiatry at Long Island Jewish Medical Center and the author of a really great book that I read last night called It's Nobody's Fault. That ought to make the mothers, the title ought to make the mothers feel a little better. Dr. Kopowitz, these kids come from homes, as far as we know, that are fairly good homes, and yet they are acting out of control. I mean, we don't have a history here of parents who are drug addicts or fathers who are abusing the children. We have fairly stable homes. What's going on?
You know, Sally, there are millions of children today, almost 7.5 million kids and teenagers in the United States who suffer from psychiatric illness or behavioral problems.
7.5 million? No wonder we get so much mail.
Well, I have to tell you, though, the first thing we always do, though, is blame moms. Yes. Sometimes dads, but almost moms always. In fact, I'm sure that some of you have been in a supermarket where you've seen this overwhelmed mother with a little infant in the shopping cart, and she's got another child who's 4 or 5 who's very rambunctious and very
He's pulling
difficult.
Things from the shelves.
Right? And another lady comes over to her and says, "Oh, you shouldn't give him sugar," or "Have you tried a leash or a harness?" Now, if that kid was wheezing, would she go over and say, "Get rid of the cat"? You know, if someone has asthma or someone has diabetes, we recognize that that's not a mom's fault. And yet, if a child has a behavioral problem or some kind of conduct problem, we right away say it's mom's fault. Now, I have to tell you, all of these mothers need to be extraordinary parents for these kids. These kids are not your run-of-the-mill kids. In fact, in my house, I have 3 sons. I do a lot of sloppy parenting. I say to my kid, "I'll be with you in 2 minutes," 20 minutes go by, and then I show up, and my kid knows Dad's always late. Or I say, "You do that one more time, and I'm going to take television away from you for a month," and then I don't do it, and my kids don't act out. They let
now,
me
if you're a psychiatrist and you're